Hello, good morning, or good evening whenever you are watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine, and today I am tier ranking all the books I read in 2020. In 2020, I read 138 books. So what I have here is my tier rank. I have 7 tiers. We are starting off here with the God tier. Those are books that are like 5+ stars. And what I mean by 5+, I mean they're like 5 stars, but they're even more than that. They have like certain things where I'm like, wow, I'm gonna read this book over and over again. I can't stop thinking about it. Overall, it's an incredible book. So that is the God tier. The demigod tier are also going to have some 5-star books and those like 4.5-star books. Next, we have Edge of Great. Yes, I named that after a Julie and the Phantom song. Those are books that are so good and I really loved reading them, but they weren't quite like on the favorites list. Then we have Generally Enjoyable. Those are books that I enjoyed. I liked them. They were good. There you go. Then we have Okay But Not My Jam. Those are books that I can objectively see them as being good books, but for me personally, they just weren't it. Then we have Disappointing. Those are books that, I mean, self-explanatory. They were pretty disappointing. I didn't really enjoy a lot of aspects of them. I probably should have DNF'd them if I DNF books, but I'm a mess and I don't DNF books. And last is No. And those are books that I also definitely should have DNF'd. Also, I should note that for these books, these are all the books that I read before the 25th. So there are a couple books that I have read before the end of the year, but because I'm filming this video before the end of the year, I had to have a cutoff date sometime. So these are all my before the 25th books. And then all the books that I've read after the 25th, I will just include next year because I plan on having this channel for at least another year. Let's get into it. So starting off with the Song of Achilles, I mean, I gotta say, obviously, God tier book. This book I think about at least weekly, if not daily. Also, I'm annoyed that not all of these are in order. Next on this list is Mark of Athena. That is the 4th book in the Heroes of Olympus books. I really enjoyed the Heroes of Olympus, not quite as much as the Percy Jackson books. I'm gonna say Edge of Great. House of Hades, I'm gonna say the same thing, Edge of Great. Next is Maximum Ride. I'm gonna say that one is generally enjoyable. It is a bit on the younger side and it definitely reads younger. And I feel that way about like all of the Maximum Ride books. They were good, but they weren't like blow my mind fantastic. If I had read them when I was like, 12, I think I'd have a different opinion. Julie and Juliet. This one I'm gonna say was okay, but not my jam. I liked it. I thought there were like some funny parts about it, but it's not really my book. Little Prince, God tier. That is one of my favorite books. I love it with all my heart and soul. Then we have Lair of Dreams. This is the 2nd book in the Diviner series. I'm gonna say demigod tier because while I overall love the series, if I'm like looking at all the books, that one is like not my favorite of them, but I still love it with all my heart and soul, and I'll definitely end up rereading it at some point in the near future. Next we have Pepperland. Oh my god, I read this one so long ago. I'm gonna say this one was like disappointing. I feel like the characters could have gone through a lot more development. Blood of Olympus. So this one was definitely my favorite of the Heroes of Olympus books. So I think I'm going to put it in the demigod tier. I feel like it was such a wonderful conclusion of that series. More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. I'm going to put this one in okay, but not my jam. If it hadn't had the like alternate ending that was added in the like 10th anniversary of the book, it definitely would have gone in disappointing. My True Love Gave to Me. I'm gonna say this one was generally enjoyable because while some of the stories in it weren't great, other ones were, I personally just felt were fantastic. So it like averages out to that sort of like 3-star range. Battle of the Labyrinth. I want to say it's God tier. Pride and Prejudice. God tier. Practical Magic. This one, I'm gonna say Practical Magic was generally, I'm gonna say generally enjoyable because it was slow. It was so slow at so many points. Illuminate is God tier. That it's the most unique book I have ever read. I have never read a book like it, and it's God tier to me. Inexplicable logic of my life. Is it God tier or demigod tier? Right now I'm gonna put it in God tier. An absolutely remarkable thing, God tier. I love it. I love the character of April May. I love the story. Overall, amazing book. Hunted, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I'm gonna say it was generally enjoyable. Dear Martin, God tier. God tier, demigod tier. I'm gonna say Dear Martin was demigod tier only because there was some weird form. I really like Nick Stone's writing and especially her like dialogue, but there was like some really weird formatting that threw me off. So I'm gonna say demigod tier. Before the Devil Breaks You, God tier. It is my favorite of the Diviner's books. Can I zoom out because I feel like we're not getting a good look at... Oh, I can zoom out. Okay, there we go. That's better. King of Crows. Okay, here's the thing. I still really loved it, but compared to the rest of the books in the series, I want to say it's Edge of Great. The Big Bad just was a little underwhelming. Trials of Apollo, I'm going to say that one is generally enjoyable. Bermuda's Triangle. So this was a reread for me. However, my reread of it, maybe because I went in with kind of high expectations, but it was kind of disappointing, which was very upsetting to me. This Adventure Ends by Emma Mills, a very cute contemporary. I would say generally enjoyable. Sea of Monsters, demigod tier. Lightning Thief, God tier. It's the start of the series. It's such a good start. It pulls you in. I loved it. Autobiography. I'm gonna say it was generally enjoyable. I liked a lot of things about it. I found it interesting. But there were definitely some things that I could have done without. Maybe it should go in okay but not my jam. That type of book is my jam. But this one wasn't. Okay, yeah, okay but not my jam. Trials of Apollo 2, I don't remember the name of it. This one is gonna go in also generally enjoyable. Again, the Trials of Apollo series aren't quite as good. Dread Nation, I'm gonna say this one was Edge of Great. It's a really cool like zombie apocalypse book that takes place in Civil War era. I didn't love the main character though, so that's the reason why it's going into the Edge of Great tier. Escaping Houdini. So this is the third book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. It wasn't my favorite of all the books, but I still really loved it. I forgot I read this series this year. It seems so long ago because I was like in January. But yeah, Edge of Great. We're saying that one's Edge of Great. A Million Junes. God tier. I love this book so much. It came out of nowhere. Maybe because I didn't have like a ton of high expectations because I didn't really know anything about it, but God tier. Call Down the Hawk. So this is the first of the Dreamer trilogy for the spin-off series of the Raven Boys. This one I'm going to say was Edge of Great. It was slow at times, but I still liked it. Every Soul a Star, I'm going to say it's generally enjoyable. It just reads a lot younger than what I like reading. Yeah. Invictus, I thought was a fascinating book. Really enjoyed it. Felt like it could have gone more in depth with the characters and their relationships. So it was generally enjoyable. Loved the concept. Wasn't my favorite. Flipped, again, it just read very young. So for me personally, it was generally enjoyable. I liked it, but could have been better. Let It Snow, generally enjoyable. They Both Die at the End. I definitely liked this one so much more than More Happy Than Not. The characters weren't my favorite, but I loved the story and I loved the overall concept of it. Yeah, Edge of Great. Another Maximum Ride book, generally enjoyable. Hunting Prince Dracula. Yeah, we're gonna say demigod tier with that one. That one was so good. I think that was my favorite of that Stalking Jack the Ripper series. Roomies by Christina Lauren. Again, another generally enjoyable book. All of their books have a lot of potential. They're just like somewhat missing the mark for me. Prince and the Dressmaker, Demigod Tier. Sky Without Stars. Wow, this was like the first book that I read this year, which is crazy to think about. This one I'm gonna put, it's a Les Mis retelling. I'm gonna say generally enjoyable because I feel like most of the like generally enjoyable ones are like, they aren't my favorites because some of the characters are annoying. The Poet-X, Demigod Tier. Loved it. Have no real complaints about it. The Music of What Happens. This one, unfortunately, was kind of disappointing. I love the concept of these two guys working together in a like rundown food truck. I thought that it was such a good setup. I felt like their relationship just felt so awkward at times. Jack of Hearts, I'll say, was generally enjoyable because I like the story, I like the concept, I like that there was a mystery aspect to it. I wouldn't say it was anything particularly unique and new in terms of like YA contemporary, but I still enjoyed my time reading it. Amal Unbound, I'm gonna say okay, but not my jam. I didn't totally vibe with the writing style for that one. Wicked Saints. Wicked Saints is going in Demigod Tier. Hold for plane. I love this book. It's so good. I feel like not a lot of people like it. I don't know. I've seen some like mixed reviews about it. I loved it. Kiss Quotient is going in the Demigod Tier. Loved the characters and their relationship. I love how they like treat each other. It's so swoony. Michael, what a guy. Field Guide to the North American Teenager. I'm gonna say this might go in no for me because I hated the main character in this book. He just felt like a very Holden Caulfield type character. My Plain Jane. Edge of Great. I love the satirical writing style of this book. King of Scars. I am so excited to reread this one, which if you aren't signed up for our Grishaverse read-along, sign up for our Discord. Link is in the down below. Check it out. I'm gonna put this one Edge of Great. Moved a little bit slow, but it was good. And I love Nikolai and Zoya, and I love their relationship. I love their banter. I love them. We Hunt the Flame. I'm also going to put in Edge of Great. I feel like these books just have very similar vibes to them. The Bone Houses. We are putting you in Demigod Tier. I love this story. Unravel the Dusk, I'm gonna say, is generally enjoyable. It's the second book to Spin the Dawn, where's Spin the Dawn? Spin the Dawn, I am going to say Spin the Dawn, Edge of Great. Unravel the Dusk, generally enjoyable. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. I didn't like it. I'm gonna try another one of Julie Kagawa's books, but I did not like this book. Capturing the Devil. It's the last book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper. It honestly could have had a better conclusion, unfortunately. Still good. Edge of Great. Seafire. Okay, but not my jam. Basically, it had the makings to be a fantastic book. No. You know what? Generally enjoyable. Yeah. Amber and Dusk. I'm gonna say disappointing. I didn't like this book. It felt like the love interest type person dude was like, it was a toxic relationship. I did not like it. Revolution of Birdie Randolph. I'm gonna say Demigod Tier. That book was so good. One Day in December. I found that book so disappointing. Everyone just cheated on each other the entire time and I didn't like it. All the Stars and Teeth. I'm gonna put it in generally enjoyable because I liked it all the way up until the last like 20 pages. My favorite Half Night Stand. This is my favorite of the Christina Lauren books that I've read so far, even though it is slightly problematic. Black Girl Unlimited. I am also going to say Edge of Great because the entire first half of the book was so confusing. A Very Large Expanse of Sea, I will say, is generally enjoyable. Children of Virtue and Vengeance. That book was so disappointing, especially considering how much I loved the first book. House of Salt and Sorrow. Okay, but not my jam. Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. I'm gonna say Edge of Grey. Next up is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. This one, I feel weird like ranking someone's memoir. I would say like demigod tier, only because I don't see myself ever rereading it, mostly because I don't really read nonfiction to begin with. Matilda, I'm gonna say Matilda was Edge of Grey. Then we have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I'm gonna put this in generally enjoyable. Four Dead Queens. The world that it took place in was so cool. I wasn't a big fan of the main character. I'm gonna say generally enjoyable. We Set the Dark on Fire. Gonna say the same thing. Cool world, cool concept. Didn't love the characters. Blood and Honey. Let's actually go to Serpent and Dove, because Serpent and Dove for me, demigod tier. I love that book. No, you know what? I'm gonna put in Edge of Grey. Blood and Honey. That book put me in such a bad reading slump. Sherwood, which is a Robin Hood retelling. I'm gonna put in Edge of Grey. Thought it was a really interesting and unique take on the Robin Hood story. Stalking Jack the Ripper. Also gonna put that one in demigod tier because it made me just totally fall in love with the characters. I thought they were incredible. Curse So Dark and Lonely. I really enjoyed my time reading this one. I'm gonna say, you know what? Yeah. Edge of Grey. Pumpkinheads. Cute. I liked it. Red, White, and Royal Blue. Of course. It's God tier. Golden Fury. I'm gonna say okay, but not my jam. Dear Haiti, Love Elaine. Also another one that was okay, but not my jam. There was like a weird, like I love magical realism, obviously. I've put several magical realism in like God tier and demigod tier, but it didn't make sense because it came out of nowhere. Crier's War. Generally enjoyable. There was a weird love triangle that happened. Sound of Stars. Another one. Okay, but not my jam. This book I had such high expectations for and it let me down. I'm not gonna put it in disappointing because it wasn't bad, but it just had like so much of an all-consuming love element to it that I didn't like it. Sorcery Thorns. Generally enjoyable. Avenge the Stars. I'm gonna say Edge of Grey. This was another fantastic retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo. Good Luck Girls. Good Luck Girls goes to demigod tier. Bringing Down the Duke. I liked this one. You know what? It was generally enjoyable. I felt like they were trying to make the Duke a very like Mr. Darcy-esque character, and they kind of missed it. The Jane Austen Society. I'm gonna say Edge of Grey. Girls of Storm and Shadow. I keep on trying with this series. I need to probably not anymore. Starless Sea. We're gonna put that in demigod tier. I love this book. Not as good as Night Circus, but I will say because I listened to the audiobook of it, I feel like I got a lot more out of it than a lot of people who read it physically. I feel like the audiobook version of it served the story really well. Slay. Edge of Grey. American Royals. I'm gonna say, listen, this is gonna hurt some people. I'm gonna say generally enjoyable. Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I'm gonna put you, my dear, in the demigod tier. Fable. Fable also goes into the demigod tier. Fable and Seafire have very similar vibes to it. I mean, they're both like piratey-esque books. What I think Fable did that Seafire didn't is you got to know a lot more of the characters and you got to learn a lot more about each of the characters' motivations. Lovely War. We all know where this is going for me. This book, amazing. Like, I love it so much. Henna Wars. Henna Wars, okay, unfortunately, I didn't understand where any of the attraction was. Crescent City. I genuinely loved Crescent City. Which actually, it's not called Crescent City. Apparently, it's called House of Earth and Blood. Because witchy. I'm gonna say generally enjoyable. Yes, no, maybe so. I'm gonna also say, surprisingly enough, just generally enjoyable. Hand of the Wall. Edge of Great. Loved it. Almost every aspect of it, except the romance. Last Olympian. I mean, there. Kingdom of Back. Go with Edge of Great. 10 Things I Hate About Pinky. Generally enjoyable. Under the Tuscan Sun. It was boring. A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor. Yeah. Not quite as good as an Absolutely Remarkable Thing. Rogue of One's Own. You know what? I'm gonna say just disappointing. My Calamity Jane. We're putting you in Edge of Great. You Should See Me in the Crown. Goes in demigod tier. You Know I'm No Good. I'm gonna say this one was okay, but not my jam. In a Holidays. I'm also gonna say generally enjoyable. Legendborn. This was my favorite book of the year. Incredible. Just an absolutely incredible King Arthur retelling. If I Never Met You. Okay, but not my jam. Just Listen was a book that surprised me this year because I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Putting it in the demigod tier. Faith Taking Flight. The writing felt so stilted in this one. Cemetery Boys. Incredible. Clap When You Land. I like it just that slightly bit more than the Poet-X. I personally felt more connected to the characters than in the Poet-X. Stay Gold. This is a controversial one for me. Okay, I'm gonna put it in disappointing because I think it's an important book to exist. It's an Own Voices about a trans boy, and I think that there definitely needs to be more books like that. However, the execution of it, I did not like any of the characters. Beach Read. I'm gonna say Edge of Great because I loved it. The main character is treated a little bit too Manic Pixie Dream Girl-esque. You Had Me at Ola. I really enjoyed this book. I know some people didn't, but I found it really enjoyable. Incendiary. I'm gonna put that in Edge of Great. Ghostwood Song. Generally enjoyable. Really cool, paranormal, magical realism. I really liked it. No, you know what? Edge of Great. I'll Be the One. I love that book. Instant Karma is a book that, again, let me down a little bit just because I have really high expectations for Marissa Meyer, but it was still an enjoyable story. I just didn't like the characters as much as I have in the past. Love Creekwood. Get up there. King of Elfham, another novella that I really loved. I'm gonna put it in Edge of Great, even though I genuinely have no complaints about it, but because it's not one cohesive story. Roaring is a book that has a lot of elements that I really love. Again, romance was a little bit disappointing. The Story of How We Met was a book I was asked to review by an author. Unfortunately, it just read really young. It wasn't really meant for my kind of audience. Titan's Curse. We'll put that in demigod. Actually, let's get all the Percy Jackson books out of the way since there's only a few books left. Lost Hero, Edge of Great, Son of Neptune. Also gonna put in Edge of Great. Yeah, same reason. It just took me a little while to get into it. Dinosaurs Before Dark is a generally enjoyable book. The Diviners. One of my favorite series this year. Old Magic was an okay but not my jam. Song of the Sparrow was generally enjoyable. The Hobbit. This will forever be top tier. Can you stop flying over? This will forever be top tier. One of my favorite books ever. And last but not least, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. You know what? I'm gonna put it in Edge of Great. I really liked it. I love the style that it was written in. I really like the characters. I have very minimal complaints about it. So there is my tier ranking of all of the books that I read in 2020. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a very happy new year. And until next time, bye!